Okay, so as promised, here the quick tutorial how to make your sound edit work. Here we got the image, and the image is the image size. As we know it's 1024 by 756. Okay, and then we pop into the desktop. So make sure that you on the computer in Documents have put all your folders that you need and your image into one folder, having your name and student number. So here's the audio that you will use. Here's the Solomon House image I just showed, and then you can go to Premiere, and in Premiere, when you've opened it up, this window will pop up and you can create a new project. There you go. And then the only thing you really have to do is give it a name, Jurgen Sound Project, and make sure it's going to the right folder. So I'm gonna browse for that. Going to go to my second semester, and there we go. And put the project in the same folder as your assets. Then you go to, we're here on general, and then you go to scratch disk and make sure all the files go same as project. So just blindly do all of it, set it to same as project as such, and then you can say, named it, and say okay, and that will then open up Premiere. So next up you have to insert or import the media. So we'll do that now. Go to the audio files, import that right here, and it will import as a folder. Anything that's not supposed to import, like the metadata file that comes with Zoom recorders, will give you a small error, but you can just press OK there and ignore that. The good thing is importing the whole folder, that everything will actually show up in your project browser here as one folder, as in a folder. The other thing we need to import is obviously the Solomon House picture, so we'll do that. So another way of importing is obviously double-clicking and importing it as such. Double-clicking in this area, or we can import it like this. Okay, once we've done that, well, the normal thing you would do is drag your video file, which is, this is obviously an image file, but your video file into the timeline, and it will automatically conform to the size of the video file, which is definitely generally HD in our situation. But in this case, the Solomon House file is a different still image size. You know, it's not HD. So we have to first make a sequence and then add this in there. So let's do that. We can go here under new sequence, and then we get this window, and from the top one, the top folder, you can choose ARRI 1080p, because that's normally the format we're going to use. And you say OK, and then the timeline has been created, and it will also show up here in the browser. Now you can add your Solomon House image into the timeline and extend it by dragging the edge of it to 1:30. It's a little indicator, it will tell you. It doesn't need to be super exact, but it's useful if it's sort of around that area to give you an idea. And then we can lock that layer. Okay. Next up we can, well, in this case I've got just 2 audio files, but you have your audio files that you recorded in the concourse. And but normally we would double click on the audio file.
The bald eagle is the only eagle unique to North America.
And then in this case we can put an out point there if we want this piece and then drag that into our audio track 1. There's audio track 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, etc. Then this here is the music. So let's say we also will add the music to it. We could choose a small part of the music, but in this case I'm just going to choose all the music and put it underneath on A2 and drop it down there. And then when we need to cut it, we can just cut a piece off by trimming the front or actually using the cutting tool, which is right here, and I'll explain that next week in class as well. So you can see that if I zoom in with the plus on the keyboard, that the audio doesn't start until here. So we can actually put the razor there, select this area with the selection tool and delete it, and then move the audio file forward. Okay, as we know now, we can't see the audio amplitude bar, so we have to extend this area here and this area here. So this little line that represents the audio amplitude level will be visible. So I can move this up for the whole track or down for the whole track, and 0 is the default. So we're going to keep the audio levels of the vocal the same, but we're going to change the audio levels of the music when the person starts talking. So let's say they don't start talking immediately.
The bald eagle.
So that's a bit loud. So we'll make this a bit softer by pressing. But I'm on the selection tool, one of the tools here, and then pressing the command button on the keyboard will allow you to have a little white arrow with a plus sign, which allows you to create these keyframes, which then allow you to fade. Okay, I'm zooming out with the minus on the keyboard, and then do another 2 keyframes here, and then we lower this area by dragging it down maybe till 7 or 8 or 9, around there. And you just listen, monitor.
The bald eagle is the only eagle unique to North America.
And then it gets louder again. So that's how we can take another bit. Let's take this area here. So press I on the keyboard or mark in. Then let's take this bit, mark out, and drag that there. So
This majestic.
So perhaps we'll do the same thing here and move that over there. And again, we'll push this down to -7 or 8 or 9. We had 9 before. Let's do the same.
This majestic bird is still protected and can be found throughout most of North America. The Northwest Coast is a primary breeding ground.
Okay, so if we now imagine to have done all of this and all of it is fine, we can also, if the audio of... Oh yeah, please also adhere to your
Bird is still
volume
protected
levels.
and can be found throughout most of North America.
Your audio meter will actually show you where the levels are at. If it shows here red, it means it starts clipping or distorting, and then you have to lower the audio levels. We can do that for the vocals here by just dragging this down a little bit, and it doesn't need to be much.
And can be found throughout most of
That's
North
actually
America.
a little bit better. Cool. So when we've done that all, we can actually take the image slide, well, the time indicator to the end of the clip. So this is all audio, obviously, and then we press an out for the program monitor. So this is your program monitor, as you can see, and you can also press an out point here, and that's then the area that will be exported. And then we go to File, Export, Media, and then this window will pop up. yeah, make sure, and you can say match sequence settings here to make it a little bit easier for you, so you don't have to fiddle with, because that will actually make it 90, 20, 1080 and 25 frames per second. And it will also adhere to the a good audio settings, and that's basically it. It will export it as an MPEG, but that's fine for now for this particular exercise. The one thing you do have to check is, in this case, you can check that box if you like, and then you just have to give it a name and put it in the right folder. So I'm going to do that. Click on the blue word, say, let's call it Solomon House, export sound exercise export. Make sure it's in the right folder, and say save. And once you've done that, you can press export. Then it will render the audio files and the video files if necessary. It'll take a while. Let's speed up it. Right. So when the export is done, you go to the Finder. You have to find where you put it. So here it is. And yeah, what I didn't do here is actually put my name and student number in it, which you should for any exercise you hand in. So I'm going to highlight this and then put my name and student number in there. And this is what I will then hand in into the hand-in files. Yeah, make sure that you double check. So I would generally double check with QuickTime Player. See if everything is there.
Northwest.
And unlike I'm doing here now, you should really watch the whole thing and see if everything sounds right. Use headphones to monitor it properly. Make sure it's the right length, etc. There's no black bits at the end. Okay, and that's it.